I am so ready for fall. Can't even tell you. Also, guys, Braylon, I wanted to get to this. I wanted to talk a little Detroit Lions. They are off today. No practice for the players today.
Yep.
But the top 100 list for the NFL.com has come out. This is voted on by the players, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Completely by the players.
Allegedly.
What do you mean allegedly? Do you question?
Allegedly.
Do you question the players list?
DJ Metcalf is 101, by the way.
Thank you.
Aiden Hutchinson came in last week at number 88. Today, it's been revealed that Amon-Ra St. Brown on the list at number 67, Jared Goff on the list at 66. This gives the Lions 3 players on the top 100 list.
So far.
So far, they have not had 3 players in the top 100 list since 2015 when they had 5 players. Before we get to that, before we get to who could potentially also be on this list, what do you think, Bray, about Goff and Amon-Ra on the list and the Lions having 3 players?
Here we go.
No, I'm not even going to be like that. Look, the Detroit Lions, they ended the season well last year. They got some guys that can play some football, and we expect good things from this year. We expect them to win the NFC North, I myself included in that. I just think we might be getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves. Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, number 68.
67.
Excuse the hell out of me. 67 in the NFL. Let me name a couple of players that he's ahead of. Dre Greenlaw, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. One part of that two-headed monster at linebacker in San Francisco. Lamar Jackson is rated behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mark Andrews, who's listed as the number 3 tight end in the NFL, is listed at number 80. Geno Smith, comeback player of the year last year, most improved player, number 77. D-Hop, number 90, just to name a few. These are DK Metcalf, who's not even in the top 100, had another 1,000-yard year, another 6 touchdowns playing for Geno Smith, and the slowed-down version of the Seattle Seahawks.
That's the one that
offense.
gets me.
So, look, I don't have a gripe against it. I think Jared Goff should have been a little higher because I think if you're going to actually look at his year for what he did, what he was as an NFC quarterback, he was number 2 NFC quarterback last year to me, only behind Jalen Hurts. And he's probably his season was probably top 5, maybe 6 season last year as a quarterback in the NFL. So he could be a lot higher. I'm fine with that. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, an individual that hasn't had double-digit touchdowns yet, in his 2 years as a Detroit Lion, he's had 11 touchdowns. He's averaged 10 yards a catch in his 2 years. So I just think we got to pump the brakes somewhat. And even Aiden Hutchinson at 88, I think he's going to be a good player, but remains to be seen. But he did have 3 interceptions last year, which is tying an NFL record. So maybe 88 for Aiden Hutchinson. I don't have a problem with that. It's projecting. I'm cool with that. But
I was
pump
shocked.
the brakes a little bit.
I was shocked at Hutchinson at 88, but that gave me hope that this guy is the real deal and that he is going to take the next step coming up. And I like where Amon-Ra St. Brown is, and I like where Jared Goff is. I think Lamar Jackson should be higher than that, obviously, but and I think DK Metcalf should be higher than D-Hop.
But let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, man.
He's a top 10 to me, man.
Yeah, but this top 10 wide receiver is different than top 100 player.
I get it.
These are top 100 players in the league. What has he done to – let me ask you this question. Who would you take, Mark Andrews or Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Depends.
And this is real. Like, what player would you take? It's real. Because in my mind, when I make a list –
I think I would take St. Brown.
Okay, would you take Lamar Jackson or St. Brown?
That's the problem with the list is they're not – it's like not positions.
I would take Lamar over Goff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the position because I'm asking you what player would you want to have. And
I'll take Lamar.
Thank you. And I'm asking
I'll
players.
take him over Goff.
Exactly. I'm asking players that are behind. They got Trevor Lawrence on here as well.
Yeah. He's in the 90s.
He's in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm not taking Amon-Ra St. Brown over Trevor Lawrence. I don't care what it is. Like, I'm not taking him over.
Yeah, you got me
I don't
there.
understand how the rankings were done. And this isn't me talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown because I agree how good he is, how good he's going to be. Trevor Lawrence is ranked below.
Yeah, that was a real surprise.
Just forget about Amon-Ra St. Brown at 67. Trevor Lawrence
He's top 20.
Is 30 spots back of Jared Goff.
Yes.
Forget about picking the St. Brown. You can have a direct correlation there between Goff and
Lawrence.
And that's
And
a wide
But it makes it
gap
even
there.
look more ridiculous when you said there's a 30-point gap between Amon-Ra St. Brown and
The
Trevor Lawrence.
double-digit touchdowns thing for me is I'm not fully on board with you when it comes to the double-digit touchdown thing for wide receivers, especially now because, I mean, there were only 3 wide receivers last year that caught double-digit touchdowns. Only 3 of them. That is an elite of the elite.
Yeah, but it was a down year. On average, you're going to have more than that, Ryan Ermanni. And to win games, you got to score points. And the reason why touchdown value for me is so high, usually the teams that are winning, the teams that have the elite players, they're scoring points. They're putting points on the board. And those players that are the elite, they're the ones putting the ball in the end zone. Stephon Diggs. You look at Devontae Adams.
But Diggs has only done it twice in his career, double-digit touchdowns.
He's only been mentioned in the last 5 years, so that's 2 out of 3 years. You look at Devontae Adams. Devontae last year, 14 with Derek Carr. The year before that, 11 with Aaron Rodgers. The year before that, 18 with Aaron Rodgers.
But that's what I'm saying. That's only one guy.
I understand that, but I'm talking about in the best. That's the way it has been structured. And maybe the NFL is moving in a different direction where you have more players, so guys are scoring less touchdowns. So maybe the Randy Moss days, the T.O. days, the Calvin Johnson, Braylon Edwards, had to sneak that in there. Maybe those days are gone, but at the same time, they still matter. The guys are getting in the end zone. So you could have a point there. Maybe they're spread out. Maybe there's enough guys on the team now where
it could be another way the game has transitioned.
Maybe
you
it's
know what
10
I mean? And where the game has evolved in transition.
I understand that, but at the same time, I do understand this. I've never seen DK Metcalf. I mean, I'm gonna just stop. I understand.
I'm
gonna take a break on this.
I do understand what you're saying. I think it's so hard to understand how this 4th round wide receiver is putting up these target numbers, these reception.
It's not hard to understand. He's just catching passes. He's not the first wide receiver that has caught a lot of passes underneath. He's not the first wide receiver. Wes Welker made a career.
The type of wide receiver he is.
But I haven't seen him make a what's the play you remember most about Amon-Ra St. Brown?
The touchdown against Minnesota to get the first win. And the last play of the game.
Okay, it was toughness.
Yeah,
it was toughness.
Yeah.
It was a big play. It was a toughness play.
That's the first one that comes to mind with Amon-Ra.
I'm just saying, when I think of the wide, why do we get to this every day? We get to this conversation.
Well, because it's an area that we disagree on, so we're like probably a little bit more passionate about it.
To me, all right, here you go. Top 10. I need to see elite plays. Like once I see that elite play, or once I see that play, that I'm like, oh, okay. That's up there with the big boys. That's up there. When I see that play from him, then I can think about him crossing that top 10 threshold. But until I see it, he's just another really good wide receiver that catches everything that comes to him. Like, he's not going to drop a pass at all.
No, only DeAndre Hopkins had better hands than him over the last 3 years.
And he's also like Cooper Kupp in a sense. He understands the offense just as good as Jared Goff. He understands the offense. Like, Cooper Kupp knows that offense just as good as Matt Stafford. So I definitely see that in him. When you talk top 10, I'm talking jumping over people, mossing people, one-hand catches. I'm talking about they can win games by themselves. Like when you look at the elite, those guys are going to, 3 games of the season, those guys are going to win that game for you. Justin Jefferson's going to do that, and the list goes on. So,
yeah, I mean, I am not of...
Touchdowns were down, though. You might be right about that.
Yeah, touchdowns. I mean, only 3 of them. Now, 2 tight ends caught double-digit touchdowns last year, but only 3 wide receivers. So that is coming down on that. Let me ask you guys this. Now, in 2015 season, ironically, that was, think about this list. The 2015 list was after the 2014 season. Keep that in mind. Which the 2014 season, we believe, if they got by Dallas in that game, they had a really good chance to get to the Super Bowl. They did not. They came back in that 2015 season, and they were absolute garbage. They were 7-9. That next year, and everything kind of blew up.
That's because Sue left.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Now, they did get to the playoffs in 16, but it was a backdoor situation. It just was not the same. Who else could get on this list? Penei Sewell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton. Where are these? Do we anticipate any of these players? Frank Ragnow. Do we anticipate any of these players to get on in a top 59 type? Because what was this? Now we know till 60.
Right.
We know from 60 to 100.
I don't think you can have a top 5. The Detroit Lions, by everybody's metric, whether it's PFF, whether it's ESPN, whether it's Fox, whether it's NFL Network, their top 5 offensive line by everybody's metric. Some people got them as high as 2 or 3. You can't have a top 5 and not have 2 guys on this list. I definitely think you'll see Frank Ragnow, and everybody's talking about Penei Sewell right now. It wasn't just the local media talking about him wanting to be a leader, talking about him taking that next step to be a Tristan Wirfs type right tackle, a Rashawn Slater, excuse me. Everybody's seeing it. I think you'll see both of those guys higher up that list, Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow.
Will he be ahead of Micah Parsons? I'm joking.
Matt, who do you like on the list? You with me today?
Oh, I'm totally with you.
Okay.
I really like Trevor Lawrence to be top 50, not number 98. That
I just
will
don't
tell you.
get the Lawrence
Top
thing.
20.
I don't.
Well, he's still young, so I'll give him top 50. There's a lot of other players you got to plug in still.
What I saw last year and what he was able to do in that comeback game against Justin Herbert, who just got paid, what he was able to do in that second half, especially that fourth quarter, if he wasn't going up against the best player in the game, who knows what who knows what Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jags could have did last year, man. They went up against
They were rolling.
They went against KC in the second round. There's nothing they can do about that.
They played hard, too.
And they played hard. They got down to the second. So that's why I say, Ryan, you got to look at it like that. Came back, and they had a shot against KC in the second round as well. So, and they added. You saw the catch by Calvin Ridley?
Heck yeah.
That's who we talk about.
Yeah.
That's our odds on favorite for most improved.
Hell yeah.
This team is going to be rocking and rolling, Ryan.